Greetings, listeners. It is a new night, it is a new week, and it's time to get spoopy and spooky. My name is KaVonna, and welcome to a very special Halloween season of the Introvert Social Hour. Welcome to another Halloween special episode of the Introvert Social Hour. This is the last episode of the Halloween season. So make sure if you have not listened to episode 1, 2, or 3, go back and listen to them and then come back to the last episode, episode 4. We are talking about scary stories. So I hope you have your night lights on because we are having a scary story night. We're going to be sharing stories, whether they be personal experiences or stories we've heard along the way. Joining me, as y'all know, in all 4 of these Halloween episodes this month are 2 of my close friends, Sabrina and Nicole. Welcome, Sabrina and Nicole. Are y'all ready?
Yes.
No.
It's nighttime over here, so I just gotta stay strong, I just gotta stay strong over here. I am intrigued. I'm a little bit like, ooh, I don't know what they're gonna throw at me. Already was a little bit scary with talking about the other things. I was a little bit scary talking about even the episode 2. We talked about some stuff. Yeah. So I was like,
even say her name. Or like, no.
Yeah, literally, I went to sleep and I was like, stop overthinking, KaVonna, you're doing too much. I was already there.
Oh no.
So that's why I was like, we're gonna be strong brains again today. Strong brains again. But I do want to, so I know like, if y'all have not watched the episodes again, go back to them. But Nicole, we know you're a skeptic a bit. Sabrina and I kind of fall a bit on the line. Nicole's a full skeptic.
Yeah.
Sabrina and I fall on the line of believing certain things and supernatural things. But I do want to know, like, we've talked about all these other legends and we talked about spooky stories and fictional stories, but I do want to know if y'all have had experience with certain things in regards to even thriller realm or supernatural realm, or people who you do know that have had those kind of like scary experiences. So I want to know, have you ever had like a truly terrifying encounter or experienced something unexplainable?
I was not scared by it, but I do have a somewhat unexplainable one.
Okay.
And this is like even me admitting, but I was just like, it was at work at the place at my previous job. I was working as a barista in a bookstore, and we had the front room, like the customer facing area, and then we had this back room where all the fridges and freezers were and like stuff on the shelves and stuff like that. And we were going through this time period where we had one of our like lead baristas, who was basically the backbone of everything. She was getting ready to head out, so everything kind of felt crazy and all the time anyway. But there was this one day where like there was a shelf where we had a bunch of stuff on there, and but even though things were always kind of chaotic, it wasn't the kind of place where like stuff was falling off of shelves and stuff like that, except for this one time where we had this giant roll, this heavy box that had our plastic wrap where we would wrap up all the pastries and stuff at the end of the night. And it always was like on this one shelf wedged in where it was not going anywhere. It was a heavy box. And this one time we were just going about our daily routine. It was the middle of the day and we hear like something fall to the ground, and we all look back there, and this heavy box of plastic wrap has fallen off the shelf, hit the edge of the sink, and fallen onto the floor. And everyone was like, what the fuck? I was like, I got it. And I went in there and picked it up and put it on the shelf, and I went, stop doing that. If there's a ghost in here. And then I went back to work. That's the only thing I got.
Not you pulling it's your boy.
Yeah. Hey demons, it's me.
He literally. That's hilarious. Shout out to Shane Madej and Ryan Bergara. That's hilarious.
Yeah. It's like, hey, no disrespect, but you can't be doing that in here.
See, that's where I'm not about to address you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I joke that I'm ghost proof. I'm just like, hey, stop and we'll be cool. And we're cool. And that's another one I stole from Shane Madej, is I'm ghost proof.
I wish I had that like brain, you know? Like I
Same.
wish I was just kind of like, something fell. All right. Gravity, right? But no,
Yeah.
I don't.
Me either. I can't.
Yeah.
No.
What about you,
I mean, it's
Serena? Do
worked
you
for
have
me
any?
so far.
It's hard to get into that mindset though.
Yeah.
Like it's not, I feel like it's not something that I can just, or even just slowly over time. I don't think it's a thing. It's either you do or you don't.
Yeah.
I'm too antsy of a person. I'm too nervous of a person. I already know that that's never going to be it for me. I'm never going to be fine with this. Things stay in this brain for so long that it won't work. I've never had like a true like experience. I just get vibes. So I do feel things in certain places. We talked about this like briefly. We talk about this all the time, reminiscing on our college days. But in Muir, I did have like a few places. Like I was terrified of our res life office after hearing about the ghost. So you would make sure I was never in there except for once during the haunting, like witching hours ever. I was out of that place by 2. The only time, Nicole, was when we were working on like that essay together, and we were there until 5:30 in the morning. And even then, I remember we put something loud on. During those hours, we were like, we're gonna put a movie on this TV because if anything happens, we are not hearing it.
Well, here's the thing: you were with me, you were protected.
That's also the thing. It's like I feel much more comfortable in spaces with people who are like, we're fine, we're chilling, they like you, which is also not a good thing sometimes. But I like get little tiny feelings here and there. I just like. And it's like feelings where it's like a presence or like a heaviness on my body, which is why I don't like it either. It's not just like there's something in there. It's like I know you're aware of me. Let's like leave me alone, please. But I'm like, you, KaVonna. Like, I'm not going to address it. I'm going to turn on the light. If I happen to wake up around 2:30, 3 in the morning, I'm going to just turn my light on, read something on my book. If I fall asleep again, I fall asleep again. If I don't, this light is staying on. This light is not turning off until it's at least 4:30 in the morning. But I don't have like any other than our last year of undergrad when we were all HAs together. I was in the second to top floor of our building, so like 11 floors. I was on the 10th. And we all know, anyone who's been to Muir, if you know any of like the lore, the 11th floor is haunted. And I constantly heard like heels. Someone was clicking around upstairs right above my room.
And we know it wasn't.
And it wasn't Pat.
Because the Crocs don't click.
Nope. She wore nothing other than Crocs ever. Maybe it was like in socks sometimes. There were no heels up there. But I heard it at all hours of the day, like during the daytime, at night. It didn't matter. I heard it when no one was up there. Like we knew for a fact no one was on that floor. I would hear it. So there's definitely somebody wearing heels up there is just there, chilling, hanging out. I don't know if it's one of those angry spirits that our coworkers, our people, our HAs who came before or after us were invoking or not. But there's something up there. And that's the only thing that's more like, I guess, more real than just the feeling. That's the only time I've ever heard something, because I don't hear things either, like not ghosty things at least. So all of my stories are stories that I've heard from other people.
Okay, I'm gonna add a few different experiences on top of what you said. So one, I agree, res life office. Fun fact, because I wish I wasn't Nicole. I be really challenging myself. So there were points where I stayed in the res life office by myself a few times, because I was like, I need to get this work done and I'm focused here. But then that also led to that like scary journey of walking at night, going back to my apartment, or back to the hall. But I could not stand having to walk at night back to my apartment on the 5th floor. That was the worst. Especially because we had like a patio area too. I didn't like that. I didn't like having to pass that. But a lot of my experiences are also in regards to the college, which is funny. And I'll just drop a few of them just real quick. So one, my first experience was my second year. I lived in Tuolumne apartment. It's known as like the most haunted building in Muir College, which is what the office is in Tuolumne. I was up studying one night. I was pretty sure I was working on paper, and I was in our living room area. All the lights were off besides like the living room lights. So I was like, living room light, kitchen light, and that was it. Kitchen smalls for people know, kitchen small, so that's not doing much. So the hallway was dark, but I'm just studying on the, at the table, just trying to get this done. I was like, I can't go. It was like 3 something in the morning. And I was like, just really focused. I was almost done. And I was just like, okay, we're going to do. I was just chilling, vibing, quiet. I didn't even have anything on. I was just kind of like very focused. And all of a sudden, it's so weird. I hear like a whisper in the hall coming from the hallway, and it calls one of my roommates' names. And if y'all are listening and you're from L1, I feel like I've told this story, and I'm so sorry if I haven't. It's creeping you out. But I feel like I have, but I could also see myself not telling it to anyone to not creep them out. And I think I might have told other people instead. But I feel like I might have. And I heard, but I might not have told her specifically now thinking about it to not creep her out. I heard a voice whisper her name, and it was literally in front of her room. Because it was close by, like her room was at the end of the hallway for me to the living room. So it was like end of the hallway, but in the hallway in the dark. You catch my drift. So it wasn't towards the end of the hall. It was like end towards me. Getting close to like the exit of the door of the apartment. So I heard it, and I like literally looked up, and I was like, okay. This that point, I'm that person in the movie where I start talking to myself, and I was like, I think I'm kind of tired. Yeah, I think I'm done for the night. I was like, I could get this done later. I was like, So instead of me talking to whatever's there, it's me like, yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah, no, like, so I'm not messing with you. I'm going to sleep now. So that was that. Never happened again. No other weird experiences like that in that apartment. And then I still ended up living in that same apartment like 2 years later. Not same apartment, but same building. But I ended up on the top floor, which is what I didn't want. Because I have heard previous experiences of that specific apartment being a bit, creeped out, that floor being a bit creepy and stuff, and their experiences there. For me, once again, or I think I have said this, but in similarity with Sabrina, it's a vibe thing. So a lot of the times I got really weird vibes. There was a point when I was in my room and I heard the bathroom door close, but everybody was like sleep, and that really freaked me out. My door was closed because I closed my door. I don't just like leave it open. I think that's just a regular college thing anyways. But I heard the door click close, and I was like, huh. And it was one of those nights I couldn't go to sleep, and I hated that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I just happened to be up. And then that was also the year that COVID happened. So there was a point where, people started moving out. I decided to stay, free housing, and I wasn't ready to go home yet. And I thought more people would stay. It was that thing of, are you staying? Are you staying? And eventually people started leaving out of my apartment and stuff. So there's points where I was in there by myself a lot, and I had to like psych myself out. But there were times at night where I would feel things, specifically like energy in my room. And it'd be really weird because it wasn't bad energy, but it was like the idea of like someone standing there and staring at you. And I'd be like laying in bed, and I didn't like that at all. But no, I super pick up on energy and vibes and stuff. Because I can walk into a place and be like, cool. But I know like when I walk into a place and I immediately feel uncomfortable because it feels like there's something there and I can't see it. Problem for me. In that same regard, when I was younger, we lived in a townhouse, not for very long, and felt really weird energy there as a kid. I couldn't close my door as a kid, but my door faced the top of the stairs in the hallway. And I always felt like something was there staring at me in the hallway as well. And then one time we were all in the kitchen, similar story to yours, Nicole. The vase was at the top of the fridge. It wasn't on the corner. It was perfectly like there was no reason where it should have fell, and it all of a sudden just fell, and it freaked my mom out.
And then
And
that's when you moved.
I know, right? Yeah. Actually, my mom was happy to have an excuse, but the owner actually wanted the house back because her actual house had went on foreclosure. So she was like, I'm gonna need this one back. Which was the first time I was like, they could do that, but that's the whole thing. But yeah, my mom was like, hey, great. Yeah, and then she found out, fun fact, that a woman did die there. So yeah, ever since then, my mom always checks like the history of places before she moves in them, which is smart. And I consider that as well now. Those are my very direct ones. Ooh, last one. This is kind of a long story, but to fill it in, Angel Island, kind of similar to Ellis Island, has a history with like immigrants and things like that. I went to Angel Island during a trip, a summer search trip. For those who do know or do not know, summer search is like a college preparatory program, and that was my adventure trip my first year. And so we were traveling all over the places in the Bay Area. So we ended up camping on Angel Island, because you can camp there. And one of the scariest stories is not really that scary. Woke up in the morning, found out my tent was ripped, and it looked like things had been scavenged through. It was a big tent. It was 4 of us in there, and there was a breeze. And we were like, why is our tent ripped open? We found out that raccoons came and were right by our heads looking for food. And that's because one of my tent mates left oranges and snacks in her backpack instead of putting them in the raccoon cabinet. So we had to get a new tent. That's a fun one. We were all like, what the heck? I was lucky though, because the tent had stopped stopped right before my head. So the raccoon was over here, but the raccoons were by their heads. Her backpack was open. They have opposable thumbs. It was bad. But in that same regard, we, as a young child and then we were a whole group of kids as well as 2 adults, we decided to adventure Angel Island at night.
So smart.
I know, right?
I keep hearing it's bad idea after bad idea. Don't camp on Angel Island. Then don't go exploring at nighttime. What is this?
I know. Black people are like, girl, what you doing? That's not what we do. Yeah. So we were exploring, and they do happen to have a old hospital. So
what?
Yeah. So we didn't go inside it, of course. But we were standing around and reading like facts. They have those like fact things outside and things like that. There happened to be a light on in one of the hospital windows. And I saw a shadow pass. And I was like, maybe it's just like janitor lady or something like that. And they were like, no one should be in there. And then like I didn't see any more shadows pass or anybody in there cleaning and stuff. So we all kind of got freaked out. We're like, yo, we gotta go, because I was the only one who saw it. And then we also, just creepy and also stupid, happened to also pass by like an abandoned building on Angel Island. We were just kind of like, we didn't go inside of it because that's not safe, but we were like, oh, like what's over here? And I was like, I'm just gonna stay over here. Like I remember we hugged each other. I hugged to once of someone else. We're like, we're just gonna walk right here. We're gonna walk by it together. And I was just like scared. I'm scared 100%. But yeah, never. Well, I do the last like thing I did was like go to the Whaley house, but that wasn't scary personally for me. But yeah, if I do it, I'm doing it with a friend, and I'm doing it on a tour, not like the way Ryan and Shane do. It's not my cup of tea.
I have a friend whose mom saw something at the Whaley house that is kind of like super scary. So like they did the tour, and I have no idea what time of day it was, no clue. But like they were doing the tour, and his mom went to go take a picture of him. And when she did, she like fully just dropped like the camera and was like super, super like scared, like shook, like everything. And he was like, what happened? Like, what's wrong? And she said that she had seen something right behind him, kind of like reaching for him. And so like, my friend is not someone, he does love to mess with me. He does. However, he is not someone who like creates stories like this very often. And like his mom especially is not someone who would just be like, oh, like, yeah, I saw this or whatever. But like she was super, super terrified in that thing. Because she saw it like right behind through the camera as she was going to go like take a picture.
And then the picture didn't happen.
I don't know if the picture happened actually. Like I'm trying to remember. I feel like he probably told me the story and I was like, oh my God, how are you alive? And I don't think I asked whether or not the picture was taken. But even if it was, like obviously nothing was captured in the picture. It was just like in that moment. Because lots of scary stuff has gone down in that house, or a lot of like sad stuff as well. So.
Well, that actually tied in because that was gonna be my next thing of like, what stories have you heard in your families, and or like friends that have like seen things or like unexplained mysteries for them.
I come from a family of skeptics, so they have even fewer stories.
Yeah,
I've got a few.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Go off, Sabrina.
So my best friend, who is also another one of those, like we're very much like, she's a little less scared than I am. Like she's just kind of like, yeah, these are things that have happened, and like blah blah blah. But she's one of those people where I'm like, I know if she saw something, she's being 100% like she saw this. It's not going to be like a story just to scare me, because I am very easy to scare. But she told me that when she was little, she used to see like this little girl all the time in her room.
No.
And she was just kind of like chill with it. And she was just kind of like, yeah, I like would see her. And then I like told my mom, and my mom was like, oh my God. And she was like, but she's just like right there. And she wouldn't do anything. And so like I was always like, thank God my parents don't let me sleep over at places, because I cannot sleep in that room.
Yeah.
I could not sleep in that room with this knowledge. But like, yeah, she would just see her. And apparently it was like a little girl who looked a lot like her, I want to say great grandmother, if I remember the story correctly. Again, it's been a long time since like I've heard this story. But like when she saw pictures of one of her older like women like relatives, she was like, oh, that's the little girl that I see. Not spooky, still kind of ghosty, but my father, who is the most skeptic of skeptics as well, we were at Disneyland once, and he saw my grandpa. He saw my abuelo, like clear as day, as if he were standing in line with us, kind of thing. And then just like turned around, saw him, was like, wait a minute, and then just like poof, disappeared. Also going along with the Disney stuff, Disney World Haunted Mansion is haunted. Like legitimately, actually, there is something in there. I know we've talked about this, but this is the reason I will not be riding this ride with you, Nicole, and my sister will.
Well, Sabrina and I will be
together. KaVonna and I are gonna be sitting together.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Like you'll ride it, just not with me. Bye.
Yeah.
It's because you protect, but you also attract at the same time, and I'm not here for
What
it.
I'm hearing is I'm hot for ghosts. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a specific room. We got stuck. Every time I go on a Haunted Mansion ride, no matter what the Haunted Mansion ride is, Disneyland, Disney World, that one time, we get stuck. Like the ride stops. Not just like the slow down for people, full stop. This stop was a good like 3-4 minutes, I want to say. Like it was a pretty substantial stop, and we were in there. And it's a room that has lots of mirrors, lots of doors, candles, and like stairs. It's just got a lot going on in it. And at first I was like, oh, this is such a cool room. And then after a little bit, I was just like, this ride needs to move. This ride needs to move right now. And I was sitting with my sister, and Cassandra was like, why? I was like, because there's something in this room. I was like, you don't feel it? And they were like, no. I was like, there's something in this room. We need to go. We need to go right now. And not because like it was anything like that felt like strong. I guess this isn't my experience that I forgot until this moment. But because I was just like, there's a lot of energy in here that is suddenly coming full force now that we're not moving, and I need to start moving again. So Disneyland has a few things. That's probably from before they made the rule where you can't spread ashes.
Yeah, which I think is so wild that people are doing that.
And then I'll leave with my favorite one, which I also find to be the scariest. But one of my friends, his dad, we are very close, like family friends. His dad told us a story of his childhood once, where him and his like cousins and friends, I don't know who, were just like playing hide and seek. And he went and he hid under the bed. Oh boy. And so he was playing, and then he's heard like this weird, strange noise. And what he saw from the bottom of the bed was a hoof and a chicken foot.
Oh.
Walking. Nicole, do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what he saw?
No.
No,
but
okay.
Like one of each?
So one of each, like walking together. Have y'all ever played Loteria?
I have, yeah.
Yes.
So El Diablo en Loteria is a man with a chicken foot and a horse claw, and he saw that.
You. Oh my.
And once again, this man is the most like, if you both met my father, he is more straightforward than my father. And he said that he saw that when he was a kid, he was playing, and he saw it moving along the like hallway. He saw it very clearly, those 2 feet moving. And he like will never forget that memory. It happened when he was very, very young. It was just in the middle of like a hide and seek game. And he saw it. And so I think it's so terrifying. I just get the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
He probably never played hide and seek again.
Right?
Yeah,
I was told never to play hide and seek as a child because like anything could go wrong. But like after hearing that story, I was like, I'm never playing hide and seek. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Especially because like growing up in a Catholic family, like that was one of the most potentially like terrifying things you could ever say, is that he did see one of the representations, one of the things that we as Latinos think that El Diablo like manifests as. Just walking by. And so like the kind of the like, and from underneath the bed, like what more cliche do you want?
Yeah.
Just like and like heard it and everything, and just
it's a no for me. It's a no. Oh my. Yeah, I would have never, first of all, like, when do you decide you can come out?
Yeah, you could never find me again if I saw
unless I'm found by my friend.
Yeah, I think that's what it would have been.
And then I'd be like, are you really you?
Like, for real. Like, never. Now I'm like, I'm lucky all the times I did play hide and seek that I went well as a kid. I'm like, oh man.
Listen, I left that one for last because I'm like, it stresses me out.
She's literally fanning herself for y'all.
Stressed yourself out.
I did, but I was like, it's a good one. I have to tell it.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a good one. If it makes you feel any better, this whole entire time I have been stressing myself out because immediately when I get off talking with y'all, I'm by myself.
Oh no!
So I do like I have to make sure I'm like, don't psych yourself up. Be a Nicole.
Yeah.
Be ashamed.
I'm passing
Watch a fun movie after.
Yeah.
And like leave it playing as you go memes.
Yeah, that's true. I don't really leave my TV on because my TV and my bed don't face each other.
It's okay, but it's for the noise.
Yeah.
Like if you pick something soothing, like a movie that you love, my go-to is Avatar. I put that in the background for my college days when I didn't want books to get me.
Okay. I think I'll be fine. I think I did really well previously. So I think I'll be fine. Yeah, I think so far we're doing pretty good.
Okay.
I think, yeah. I do want to move into like just general experiences that you have like heard of that are kind of like scary encounters. They could be like even across like books and movies and other things like that as well. I will bring up some real case scenarios though for y'all. One is tied in with legend and it became real life, and I'll tell you how. And then another one is kind of tied in with our last episode, but I did want to still bring it up because we were running out of time. So the first one, have y'all heard of Slenderman? Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell it real quick because but you
Okay.
know, he's a modern myth. Like out of all the myths that have come up recently, he's like the one that's more modern. It did start online. So that's
Mhm.
why I really don't, you know, that one's where I'm like, I'm full Nicole. Like it started online as part of like a competition of Photoshop pictures to include like supernatural
Mhm.
elements. And then they had used it, added put a person up there, was faceless and suited and was an unnaturally tall figure. And then it became like a trend all over, not a trend necessarily, but it was spreading all over the internet. And his MO, as they had started saying, was to abduct people, most likely children, who seemed willing to go with the figure and never to be seen again, making him kind of like a terrified version of like the Pied Piper in a way. It became so real to people, kids, teenagers, that someone got stabbed over this. Luckily, she didn't die.
Yes.
So this is why it's terrifying to me, because then I also get scared of like real life possibilities, and I think it's kind of crazy. In 2014 in Wisconsin, two 12-year-old girls lured their friend into a forest and stabbed her 19 times in an attempt to appease the fictional character Slenderman. The girl ended up crawling to a road where she was found, and she ended up recovering after 6 days in the hospital. The two friends that ended up stabbing her were found not guilty by mental disease or defect, and were committed to mental institutions for sentences of 25 years to life and 40 years to life. So I'm thinking that I don't know which one it was, but one of them I think started the plot and probably got that more time. But after 7 years, one of the girls actually was granted early release, but she's still under supervision until age 37. So
Wow.
that is the story of Slenderman and Slender stabbings. So a little bit of tie-in into the legends and stuff that we talked about in the previous episode, but I want to talk about the story because I remember I heard about that and that was terrifying to me. Like as a younger kid at that time too, I was like, imagine like me trusting my friends out of going to a fort. First of all, I just don't think I think I'm lived in a more city-based place, so I'm not popping in the forest anyways. But other towns and stuff like Wisconsin, you know,
Yeah.
towns in Wisconsin, you're more likely to do that. But just the fact that you trusted some friends and they stabbed you, and they're talking about it's because of this, you know, fictional character. That's a pretty like scary idea. I can only imagine how terrified she was before they started stabbing her, and then during the process and after. But I'm glad she was able to survive.
Yeah.
That's honestly the part of like supernatural legends and stories that actually does disturb me, is like it's not about the story itself, but it's about people taking them and like feeling
in a way, or believing so much.
Yeah. Whether it's buying into the legend or just using it as an excuse to do something horrific. And like you know, there are definitely people that I knew at that age that like if they got it into their heads and really like there are people that I went to middle school with, and I'm like, you know, if they were so moved, they might have done that. And that's terrifying.
Well, I'm just like thinking the age you're saying, like they were 12-year-olds in 2014. I'm putting that at like that's Cassandra's age. Those are 2002 babies. And so I'm just and I feel like that is the generation that started like buying into a lot more internet stuff a lot faster. And that's what terrifies me too, because it also reminds me of like, you remember the killer clowns?
Oh yes. Oh, we should talk
the
about
killer clowns being a thing. And I feel like again, I didn't get a smartphone until my sophomore year. It wasn't even on Instagram until I graduated high school. So I wasn't connected to all of that. But from my understanding, that also started online.
Yeah, it did.
Where like maybe one person dressed up, but then everyone was like, oh my God. And then suddenly there were a ton of people dressed as these clowns, and they were going around.
Yeah,
like,
it was 2016. So we were freshmen I was a freshman in college.
Yeah, same.
So that was also terrifying. Yeah, 2016. At least when the big craze of it was, because that was terrifying to me, because I was like,
they were sending out stuff like, do not do this trend.
Yeah.
And there was still, I remember I walked going from Price Center to Mirror. There is that huge foresty
Why was I
area.
thinking about that area too?
Yeah, there was a guy. I was always afraid, but there was a guy one time who was like trying to like scare people, but he was like goofing off more so. And I remember a lot of us were just like looking like, but he did do it like at nighttime. You're like, bruh, like stop. But that was my fear. Like I didn't want people, because some people were goofing off about it around the world, and some people were actually they were taking the opportunity to do like really wild stuff.
Yeah, like you can't tell initially, like, and especially if, like, the scary part for me was like we had an open campus, like I said, like that could be some idiot freshman trying to scare people, or it could be a real person trying to do somebody harm, and that was always like the unknown of that was scary to me. That's like, and supernatural stuff doesn't scare me, real people stuff scares me.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, it was a scary it was a scary time though, because once again, freshmen, and people were doing like stupid stuff, and I remember I'd watch videos about it, and some people were getting beat up, validly so, because like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
yeah,
you're asking for trouble is what you're doing.
Yeah,
I was literally. Like, that walk scared me because I came after, but even without that whole thing, that walk scared me all the time. Anytime I'd come home after my closing shifts at Starbucks, my little pepper spray was there, and I was hauling ass up that hill.
Up that hill, yep.
Oh, no.
Or I don't know if y'all ever did late nights at the library, but that walk was also, you're right next to that big forest area
with the talking tree, the singing tree.
The singing tree.
Ew.
And sometimes they did do creepy music.
Yes, I had a college friend who once got this shit scared out of her because it was Halloween time and she was walking back from the library, and she was like, why am I hearing horror movie music? This is not what I want to be hearing right now. It's 2 in the morning.
Yeah. Some of their choices, they were trying to be funny, but I was like, no. Like some choice. Yeah. There was a point where I heard like soft voice music during Halloween, and I was like, I know what y'all are doing, and I don't appreciate this.
I mean, even when it wasn't Halloween time, sometimes you just hear a disembodied voice and you're like, I can't hear what it's saying, so I don't, like, your brain fills in all those holes and you're like, what is that?
Or if you've never had like a tour of campus, like you just come to campus, you don't know about the trees.
Exactly.
You don't know about the talking one. You don't know about the singing one. So you just hear something and you're like, oh my God, especially because it's not a very lit place. I can't imagine adding like all of those trends on top of that.
Oh yeah.
That's so true. I had one more in regards to like out of my experience stories, similar to the one I talked about previously, which was Lake Lanier in the previous episodes. Once again, if you haven't listened to it, go back. The flat bridge in Jamaica. Have y'all heard of this one?
I have not.
Okay. Also, once again, this is the one that didn't have time to talk about, so it kind of ties in a little bit more with like mystery and legend and stuff. But I do have a chance to talk about something that we didn't really talk about too much. We just talked about in the second episode a little bit. Flat bridge is exactly what it is. It's a bridge that is flat. There's no railings or side things on it. So there have been a lot of accidents. This bridge, it has been confirmed, it can be confirmed that it was constructed after 1724, but there's no history date on exactly when they had finished it. It is a bridge that stretches about 45 meters or 148 feet across the Rio Cobre. I hope I said that right. But it's not very wide. So it's actually one of those bridges where lights control the traffic, and they'll say, okay, go. And it lets people coming from this way go, and then it'll stop that lane. And then, okay, this lane, you can go ahead and cross. So only one direction of cars can go at a time. It is about 13 feet wide. Yeah. That's it. Here's the history though. Once again, history kind of starts connecting with things. Slaves did help build this bridge in really poor conditions, so lives were lost in the midst of building this bridge. So a lot of people in Jamaica think it's haunted. There are theories in the lines of the waters being specifically haunted, in the sense that they believe sirens are in those waters.
Whoa!
Yeah. Twist.
That's better than a ghost.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they believe sirens are actually in those waters, and a lot of the deaths and accidents is because people are getting pulled towards the water to those sirens when they are crossing that bridge. And people have claimed to have seen these sirens in the water and things like that. I do get really intrigued by it. It's kind of like a scary story, but once again, also kind of like unexplained phenomenon situation. Fun fact, they did put rails there in the 1930s. They changed them to wooden rails though, and they ended up getting washed out by the waters, and they just never replaced them. So yeah, they were just
Ghost
like,
said, no.
yeah, put these away. Yeah. But that's the flat bridge in Jamaica. The minute I found out about that, I think also about last year, I was like, kind of like, oh, interesting. Mermaids, but not mermaids, sirens. You know.
I mean, water. What is it with haunted water?
It's
like even shallow water and like areas nearby water. The water remembers, it'll get you.
I was gonna say that. I was like, water has memory.
Yeah,
that is actually a really commonly held belief, like on different levels, like how the memory of water is fascinating.
Yeah, also in connection to, depending on your culture, of like certain like gods or things that are connected to the water as well. Yeah, I'm not gonna bring up the situation that happened this past summer, but like truly I do believe truly I do believe that yeah, I do believe that you just need to stay away from things that are not meant to. So I talk about that with Lake Lanier. Like there is a history there. In those waters, there's a history there depending on where you are. So, for Flatbridge, people died making that bridge.
Yeah.
In poor conditions, specifically because people were not caring for them. So I don't know. For me in water, it's a no anyways. I love looking at it. I do appreciate it. But you will never find me feet in the water. And I don't like the idea of boats, especially because once again I can't swim. But yeah, just no. And they're doing the water. There's weird things happening in the waters these days. Orcas are getting mad. Like,
yeah,
it's a no.
Yeah, the Earth's fed up. She's like, no more. Enough of this.
Yeah. Like, I guess it was bound to happen in all elements because we have already been experiencing like fires and stuff, right? I guess water's next. I don't know.
I guess. Yeah, but I'm just almost all of our stories, at least one of them is tied to water in some way. That's fascinating. I would like to know why.
I have a theory.
Oh,
okay.
Well, it's because for me, I think it's one of those things that people still don't know about. Like I don't know the number, but there's so many things that have been undiscovered in these waters. And so because water can be also really scary, like it moves fast, it moves quick. You can't really, once it takes you, like you can't fight water. There's no stop and drop and roll situation. So I think because water can be really scary, a lot of those stories tie into it because of the pure fact that it's terrifying in a few different ways of we don't know what's in there. It's so large and it's so unknown and undiscovered in so many ways. And then also too, you can't pick a fight with water if it's having a moment. Like you can't. There's so many ways that I'm still learning all of the ways that water starts to act up. Because there's not just one. Like that's the crazy part too. Like you can have the thing that where the water starts the riptide. Thank you. You have the riptide, and there's what's the whirlpool. There's so many different things where the water starts being weird. I saw a video on TikTok the other day. The water was like doing really weird wavy things, but then at one point it's completely clear, and this is the middle of the ocean. Like what? That's so weird.
Yeah. And there's also like humans really rely on water. Like humans need to have proximity with water to survive to a certain degree. So there's no avoiding it past a certain point. Like even something like a river, you know, that can still be incredibly dangerous because we need to have access to water in order to sustain human life. So you also can't escape it in that sense. You always will need it.
Yeah.
Unless you like only drink Diet Coke or something. I don't know about those people.
Yeah, you should be drinking water.
I mean, there's water in Coke. I don't know if they know that.
Not enough, but yeah. Yeah, that's true. I do appreciate it. I think water's super beautiful. I just think once again, there's just certain waters you shouldn't touch. For sure. Some ones I forgot to tell you. Random notes. They're not big stories. Let me ask you first. Was there ever a period of time in which, you know how kids are like really connected? They say kids are really connected with the supernatural. Where did your family members ever tell you that you used to say you saw things or anything like that? No. Okay, so that's good. Because that's where I thought I was at a certain point. My mom did not tell me this until I got older, and I thought she thought she had told me this before, but she told me at our one of our old townhouses when I was little. My mom told me when I was like 2 or 3, I used to see like a man on the stairs. Yeah. She said I used to see a man on the stairs. But this time I'm in my 20s. I was like, I was never that child. I was like, I was never that child. I'm not. Nope. And she said I used to see a man on the stairs and that would creep her out. And I was like, what? You never told me that, because she only told me her story. And she said she used to see a man when she was younger at her grandma's house in the bathroom. And it ended up being, though, because I've told y'all, and if I'll maybe tell it a little bit more, but I've told y'all that both of my great grandmas on my mom's side are pretty in touch with whatever it is. So yeah. So my mom, when she was young, she would tell her that she'd be like, I see a man there. And her grandma, my great grandma, I never met her because she had passed. But she had said, oh, that's just my dad. You're fine. He's just coming to stop by and say hi. What? First of all, can he not do that in the bathroom?
Yeah, I was like, can we pick a different place?
Yeah, right.
I was about to ask, what is with these random men haunting your family? But I guess if it's your family,
yeah, I'm like, maybe it was the same person. Who knows? I don't know. But I will say though, fun fact. Sounds really weird. My great grandma, she was Creole. Her father was Irish. So also my mom's like this little black girl seeing this random white dude.
It's terrifying.
That'd be so scary.
Like what? But yeah, my mom said she had saw a man when she was younger, and then she said I saw a man, but I didn't know that till I was older. I thought I was out of the clear. And
that's one of my one of the fears that I have, that when I have kids, they're gonna be like, mommy, mira. And I'm gonna be like, no.
Yeah. You're just tripping, girl.
Go back to bed, it's fine.
Right. It's fine, you're okay. Like, what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna be the brave person. I'm just gonna call my sister and be like, hello.
Call in reinforcements.
Yeah, I was like, next door.
Because that checks out.
Like dials, it's happened.
Yeah, hello, the child is seeing things. I need you.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
No, that's terrifying. But your great grandma just being like super chill, like, nah, it's my dad. You're fine.
Yeah, my mom said she would do that a lot. And then my great grandma that I did know, I was grateful to know until she passed last year. She just knew things. Didn't really do a lot of that stuff when I was younger. I think it became a little bit more because she was no longer aware of it, because she also went through dementia and stuff as she after she had her accident. She would just be saying stuff, and knowing stuff and wouldn't be holding it into herself. She did that anyways before, because like that she was very known for like talking her mind. Like if she thought you were ugly, she was gonna tell you. It'd be like, you shouldn't say that. But even then with her dementia, things like that would happen. Like when my mom ended up pregnant with my little sister, she only told me and my grandma, and we went to my great grandma's birthday party, and my great grandma was staring at her. And mind you, this was after, she was starting to like lose a bit of herself. And she was like looking at my mom and just staring, and she was like, "You're pregnant." It wasn't a question. It was a flat out statement. And I looked at my mom because she told me before in the car, she said, she's gonna know something. Because my mom has grown up with my great grandma. She like knew her. She was like, she's gonna know something. She was like, I really hope she doesn't say anything. Because she didn't want the family to know yet. Because once again, that was her sixth child, and that's a whole other thing, and she said it, and I looked at my mom like, you're right. I just feel like, you're right, she said it. And then my mom's cousin, who's like my great cousin, but we're all just kind of like cousins, she looked at my mom and was like, and she came up to her, she said, is she right? And like she could pull her to the side, and she was like, yeah, girl, I don't know how she knew. And we're like, yeah, that happened. Last time I visited her, before she passed, well, before I last visited her, when I knew she was going to pass, but when she was still in like a bit of her mind, she was in the bed, and she told me her mother was standing beside me. And I was like, oh, right.
That's lovely.
That's lovely. I was like, oh. But why that happened though, when my mom had a phone call and she was like, oh, hold on, let me answer this. So she walked out the room, and my great grandma was just like, oh, you're so pretty, telling me things like that. And then she was just like, oh, she was like, my mom's standing right beside you. I was like, okay.
That's terrifying. Okay. Thank you.
I didn't turn around. I was like, oh. I was like, okay. And I was like, all right.
That's really funny. That's the complete opposite reaction I had when my dad told me that my abuela was right beside me. I was like, what?
Freaking out at Disneyland.
Yeah.
No, I was excited. I was like, what? Why did you see him?
Oh,
hello?
That's fair.
Why can't
yeah.
I see him?
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. For me though, because I it wasn't like, it was kind of low key scary, but I was like,
the
okay,
way she said it.
Yeah, I think not even that. I was just like, for me, once again, don't want that. But hey, girl, hey, fam, but at the same time, and I think my family members know that. Just dreams, even creep me out sometimes. So yeah, but visit me in a dream, but I can handle that. But not in person.
I guess if you have to be around a ghost, a family ghost is ideal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you heard of Tabitha Brown? She says that before her mom passed, her mom was like, if you ever think of me, or if I'm ever there, I'll put a dime near you, so you know that I'm there. And so whenever Tabitha sees a dime, she like when do you randomly see dimes? Like, first off, that's why it was like not pennies, dimes. And so whenever she sees a random dime, she's like, oh, my mom's here. And one time, because I've watched one of their stories, Tab and Chance, on a scary moment for them. I forgot exactly what big moment was happening in their life. But a bunch of like dimes had popped up in their bathtub. And it freaked Tabitha's husband Chance out. And she was like, that's my mom. But he was like, no. He was a skeptic before that. And now he truly believes, because of how those dimes randomly pop up. The minute that happens, finding dimes is odd, yes, but then I wouldn't really do too much
in the bathtub.
But in the bathtub, that was the strike for him. So I would understand.
Yeah.
But I think I just want to double check though. But I think we're done. Do y'all have any other stories you found, or?
I have like a podcast episode that like popped into my head because I like listened to this tiny thing where it did like when we were talking about the like college campus, it reminded me of it because it was scary, where like a girl, she said she was home late at night and she heard something tapping on her window.
Ew. Disgusting.
And she was like, what is this? What is this? And thought it was like her friend, like thought like someone was knocking at the door first. So opened the door, saw nothing, and then went to the window and like saw a man, like a genuine real life man, not a ghost, nothing. A man was outside her window, all in black, like with like a cap on and stuff, and like with gloves on, and was just kind of like, come here.
Absolutely not.
Like beckoning, like come here. And in the like, I don't know if it's like dramatized. I can't even remember what the podcast is called. It was recommended to me by, it's like a little old VHS type of like record store thing, but like,
okay.
I don't know if it was dramatized or whatever, but like the person telling the story was saying that like she doesn't know what came over her, but she actually did like open the window at one point, like just a little bit, but then started yelling at him and was like, what are you doing? Blah, 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 and everything. I was like, girl,
you could have
why
yelled.
are you opening the window?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And like she like noticed all of like the details on his shirt and everything, and that he like left. And then she closed the window and she like called her boyfriend who like was coming over and stuff. Oh, that's what it was. She thought her boyfriend was scaring her for a second and then clicked that it wasn't him. And she just like yelled at him. But then the next morning she wakes up to news reports of just a few like houses or like a block down. A guy had come in and killed a girl. And then it was like a mini like serial killer. Like he got like 3 or 4 people within a span of time. But the description of the man was the exact same person that she had seen outside her window that night before.
And she opened
it was on a college campus. So the exact same like outfit, because they had seen him leaving and everything like that. And then when she saw a picture of him later, whenever they caught him, it was the person that she had seen outside her window.
Oh,
I bet she felt so, because like, why did you open the window?
Why would you open the window?
But now I'm wondering, like,
those blinds, immediately called 911 and been like, there's a man outside my house.
Personally, yeah.
Outside my window.
Yeah. Personally though, like, even then, if I hear a little tap on the window, it's gonna take a lot of taps for me to decide to go even look.
You're like, I do not see it.
No, I don't hear any taps. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, so that's pretty wild. I don't even care. That's very like scary movie. Like, because those are the things that happen. Like you think someone's joking with you. You open the window.
The dumb horror movie trope.
Yeah.
Whew.
Do not.
But that actually reminded me of a story that my mom told me once, because she has lived in Southern California, in Los Angeles adjacent, for a very long time. And California is the serial killer state. Like they're a high instance of serial killers.
We take the same breath.
Yeah, the sigh.
Yeah.
And there was one summer when because especially in the summer in California, like it's hot as hell, so it's really easy to sneak into people's houses because they have their windows open and stuff. And there was one summer when my mom was living with a friend of hers, and there was like, in the news there were stranglings that were happening in people's houses, and so she and her roommate were really scared. And so there was one evening where her roommate's boyfriend came over, and they all were going to spend the night in the living room because they had just like gotten really freaked out. And so they were all sleeping together in the room, and they got woken up late in the night because some dishes fell in the sink, and they were like, what the fuck? And the boyfriend jumped up and looked over at the sink, and somebody was trying to climb in the kitchen window. And because the plates fell, he like got scared and ran off.
Oh my God.
So like my mom, she always tells that story. I can't believe I didn't remember it until you mentioned it. She always ends it with, and so that, she listens to a lot of true crime podcasts and stuff like that. She's like, the thing that I take away every single time: lock your fucking doors, lock your fucking windows.
Oh my gosh. I'm still holding my chest. because I have a similar experience. I think I told y'all when like some like random teen young adults tried to rob my when I was a kid, so it wasn't mine, but literally like where I was living, my house, and I was home with my brother, but I was the one downstairs because my brother was in the shower and we're kids. And he had climbed through, they had both climbed through the window of the kitchen as well, over the sink. Oh my gosh. Shout out to the plates though.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Good job.
See,
good job.
Don't do your dishes. Always leave a couple just in case.
Wow.
Just,
well, I come from a home where like we like keep our windows locked regularly, but even when they're not locked, we get little PVC pipes and we put them in between so you can't open the window.
Yeah.
Like that is the household I come from.
Yeah. No, I agree.
No.
We're same, but we don't leave our windows open at night on the first floor. But I'm on the 8th floor, so I'm fine. I'm here. But at where I live at home, 2-story. So top floor, we're fine. We're chilling. We'll leave it open if it's hot, but we also have AC and fan. So, first floor is absolute no. Also got the pipes and things. Also like sliding doors and stuff, completely unlock mode. But that's one random note before we close. That's one random. I can't stand too many points of entry.
Yes, I agree. A house with too many windows makes me really nervous.
Yeah, I looked at I was watching a TikTok of a house tour, and I was literally watching it, and I was like, I wouldn't get it. It's too many points of entry. And literally scrolling on the comments, they were like, too many points of entry. I wouldn't get it. I was like, yeah, okay, it's not just me. Yeah.
Yep.
They have like 3 or 4 doors. I was like, no, that's doing too much. Okay, quick rapid fire questions before we wrap up for the night and wrap up for the Halloween season. So these are pretty general Halloween based ones to kind of like get us back into like spooky world for a minute. What are some of your Halloween traditions or rituals that you do for the Halloween season? Fun things.
I mean, we have our own little rituals now where we watch, we dedicate that month to actually watching movies together. We do our movie watching. I love apple cider, so I will make sure I have some apple cider at some point. I also will always watch, not Halloween, but like on Dia de los Muertos. It's not huge in my family. I just like it. It's huge in the community I grew up in. I will watch the Book of Life on Dia de los Muertos, just like because it makes me really happy. Or like we'll put that on in the background when we have trick-or-treaters coming to the house and things like that. That's what I like.
Oh, that's cute. What about you, Nicole?
I have my new one. I bought a skeleton onesie a year or 2 years ago, and now when it's like Halloween season, it's like I'm living in that skeleton onesie because one, it's incredibly cozy, it has pockets, and it's cute. So why wouldn't I? We have, back from my homeschooling days, we have a full skeleton in my house. Well, he's not usually out. His name is Mr. Bones, or Indiana Bones. And he used to hang in our living room.
That's cute.
Because we were homeschooled, and so we had things like a full skeleton. And so we started for Halloween, we'll get him out and put him together. And like last year we dressed him up and put him in a lawn chair on our front lawn with a bowl of candy during on Halloween, so kids could come and grab it, because we don't usually have like a lot of trick-or-treaters on this street, but we wanted to do a little bit of something, and that was always fun.
That's awesome. I'll add to this. I'm on Halloween mode by myself. I've had different transitions of like what Halloween looks like. Now that I'm by myself, I kind of keep the small things that I did that I could still do by myself. One, like watching Halloween movies, enjoying like Halloween snacks. And I always love to wear Halloween pajamas. I'm actually wearing some Halloween pajama shorts right now. Skeleton ones, season round,
Yep.
So that would be my thing. But I also would do kind of like in-house parties. My mom eventually over time became not a fan of like trick-or-treating and stuff, so I would help her like put little party things together for my siblings when I was home during that time for like 2 years at a period. But that's pretty much it. Okay. If you were to dress up as anyone for Halloween, anything for Halloween this season, what would it be?
Anything?
You have options.
I've become such a low, like, I don't want to do a really involved outfit anymore these days. Like, I want to be comfortable is number one.
Got it. Okay, so can I give you like goofy outfit choices?
I mean, I would love to do a full, like, like a jester outfit where he's in all red and he's kind of like a little devil. I always wanted to do one of those outfits.
Nice.
I am trying to go to Oogie Boogie this year. So mine is probably going to be something Disney related, but I also always have like a school version that's like a much easier low key one.
Yeah.
I may end up being a barista again. I kept my Starbucks apron, so I just do that when I need something all black in the apron. But I have been wanting to be Padme for like a few years in a row. So maybe we'll see that come out. It just have to decide which outfit of Padme.
Yeah.
I really like her at the end of Phantom Menace in the like purple outfit, like the pants outfit. But also she has beautiful dresses. So yeah. I would love to wear one of her dresses as well. And then I also have lightsabers. So I was like, what if I'm just a Jedi? So probably something Star Wars.
Yeah. I don't know my specific answer. But I know. But it's along the lines of this though. Same for Nicole. I just want to be comfortable. I've never, and the reason why I don't know my specific answer, because I've never really been 100% into like the dress up mode. I got out of that pretty fast. So for me, like I'm dressing up because I'm going somewhere, and even then I'm probably going to a party or something, so I want to be comfortable because it's probably going to be hot. So I just think about those things a lot. So it'd probably be a really chill costume. Maybe I dress up as like a Hufflepuff or something. I don't know, because I feel like that's like kind of like simple. Yeah, because you could just pop a little robe on and go about it. But I don't know. Yeah, I would say something simple and like a little bit freer because I sweat easily as well. So it's not a fun time.
Especially like it really depends on where you are too for like Halloween time, because it's still hot in California when it's Halloween time.
That's true.
So
that is true.
It really changes the game.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sabrina, Nicole. This is our last episode. Thank you for being in all 4 of them for this special spoopy season. Woo.
It's fun.
I'm glad. Yeah, it really was fun. Every single like episode that we talked about, we really did like give a range. So
yeah.
For the listeners, you have something. Remember that these 4 special Halloween episodes are all out now. If you haven't listened to 1, 2, or 3, go back. You should have did it before, but go back now. If you have a spooky story, or if you have like stories from someone else, tell us in the Q&A section. Make sure you spread that Halloween season fun with friends and family by sharing this podcast. Follow and like this podcast to get notified when new episodes drop. You can follow me at KaVonna on Instagram to stay updated as well. Go ahead and follow Sabrina and Nicole via the episode description information to stay updated on what they are doing. Get spooky, get spoopy, stay safe for Halloween this season. Have an amazing last week of October. I will see you next week on the Introvert Social Hour. Thanks for joining. Bye.